All right, welcome to another exciting episode of To the Edge. We're on location once again in Rhode Island, and with me today is the star of Mike Messier's film Blood Sugar, Sid Ace, Larry O'Leary, and you play Sid.
Yes, I play Sid, a torn tyrant, a psychologically twisted character.
Psychologically twisted.
Yes. One of the things about my character is I think every human being probably experiences some of the things that my character portrays, but they repress it.
Without spoiling it, what do people repress?
They repress the anger, their failures, they cover their inadequacies with ego-based expressions of power. Sid is an unusual character, and it took me a while to find the humanity in the character and to find his story, his mind. It took me to dark places in my own mind to create that character. And it was deep. It was very deep.
Now, would you say that you had to put in a lot of preparation for the role?
Oh, God. I didn't take any other acting gigs during this because the character was so powerful. He was so deep. He was so controlling. And I actually studied the psyche of the character deeply in the words that were written masterfully by Mike Messier. And then it was 58 pages of dialogue. It's a very dialogue-driven piece. It's a masterful piece. This film is actually something nobody's ever seen before, and it's not for the weak of intellect, so to say, because I like to say it's a character-driven psychological drama of epic proportion. It's a modern-day Shakespeare, and it has to be followed, and it's new. And I was in New York just recently speaking with some other actors, directors, and talent agents, and I expressed to them it's kind of like theater comes to film times 10. So it's powerful. It's very powerful. And you have to follow every word of every character. We were so tight together that the power emanated out of the screen. I always say what an actor can say to a crowd isn't necessarily with the words, but how he lives it and breathes it. Sid lived and breathed it. I had 58 pages of dialogue. To answer your question, how did I prepare? All over my house.
Like plastered everywhere.
Everywhere. I had the monologues taped on the bathroom mirror. When I went to sleep at night, they were taped next to my bed. When I woke up, it was the first thing they read. In my kitchen, on all of the cabinets, I had all of the scripts, all of my dialogue. And then I would record the opposite parts, my co-actors' parts on our tape recorder, and when I was driving in my car, I would play the opposite parts. So I would do my parts timed, and then I would hear me doing my co-actors' parts, and that was one of the ways I got off book relatively quick. But it wasn't just that. I listened to some Johnny Cash, deep, depressing songs. If I had a spouse in my house, I would have been in a lot of trouble. First of all, I had all of this stuff taped all over the house. Second of all, I lived and breathed the character of Sid.
Oh, no.
I did. I practiced some of the lines with people out in public, and I didn't get arrested.
What, out in the stores?
Yes.
To the clerks?
Stores, clerks, people I spoke with. My family actually was getting very concerned about me, and I was telling them that I was embodying this character, and my mother said, "I don't like that character. That's not my boy."
Well, you know what I think? I think that we should have Sid guest star on the show right now. So can you bring on Sid?
I could bring on Sid.
Let's have Sid.
I don't want to spoil the film.
Oh, you don't want to spoil the film?
No, I think if people want to see Sid, they have to see the film. Because what comes from Sid is what comes from these characters, maybe puppets, and I'm not going to spoil that, that he created. And it's his interaction with a female, two females. One represents hell to Sid, but he's addicted to hell. He's addicted to this type of a woman, and he keeps finding them. The woman that he wants, his savior woman, he feels distant from, and for some reason he's stuck between that balance. And then, and with the great actresses, Jamie and Stacy and Adam. In order for me to become more of this Sid character, I started socializing with Adam. We went fishing on my boat and things like that. And he sent me a card, "I hate you, I'm going to kill you," that type of a thing, in a Father's Day card.
That's a great relationship
he
there.
He did it humorously, but that's how deeply we embedded ourselves in these characters.
Would he try to actually get to know your characters so that he could prepare and think, well, one day I'm going to be him, so I'm going to lean myself in that direction?
No, I don't want to spoil anything, but there was this constant battle between understanding that I created these Adam's, Ace, and that was kind of cool too. Adam Ace, is what I refer to him in public. Adam Ace,
Adam Ace.
Yeah,
sounds like a superhero.
Yeah.
Adam Ace.
And he was kind of my alter ego.
Yeah.
But I hated him because he portrayed things that I wanted to be, but never let him think he was good at. The entire film is it. I think everybody in the audience is going to say, "Hey, I felt like that once," or "I see that," or "This is me," or that has been me," or "I know somebody like that." And it's not for the weak of mind, I don't think. It's definitely an intellectually, psychological, character-driven film. It's deep.
Yeah, I saw the film and I thought so too. But if I hadn't seen the film, you would have sold me on it right there. Oh, how did you first find out about the role?
Well, I knew Mike was writing it. Didn't know a whole lot about it. We were both working at Main Media Workshops as actors in residence.
Yeah.
And when I came back, I heard that he was auditioning for this role, and I read a little bit of the script, and I was sold on it. I said, "Oh my God, this is like modern day Shakespeare." That was the first words that came to my head, and I said I'd like to audition for it, and I went and I auditioned, and I didn't know I had the part. I auditioned, and he said, "Would you go sit out in the room?" So I sat out in the room, and like 5 hours went by, and he had me come in with different people, and then said, "Would you come back again tomorrow?" I still didn't know I had quite had it, but I had a pretty good feeling. In the meantime, because of my nature, you wouldn't know it in the film, I was coaching people that were going in and auditioning for my part.
Yeah.
Trying to help them with their lines. They were nervous and whatnot. So.
How would you say a typical day was on the set?
Intense. To me. I go on set and I am that character until I come home until I leave the set. So interaction, social interaction, not with my co-actors. They were used to me. Larry's in character, that's okay. But makeup artists and whatnot had a little bit of a time because I was in character, and Citizen's a very nice guy. He lacks in some social graces for sure. So a typical day on set would be, we get there, we'd eat always plenty of food, and we'd shoot. And some days they were hot, and we had great direction. We pretty much had it. I mean, it was a real joy working with both of those guys, directing us. And when at any given time, when we looked over at Mike, he was just glowing like it's come to life, you know. And we knew, and we fed off of that even more, because that's what we do. I wasn't acting. I lived that character to the point where I might have even had to contemplate going to therapy when I got done. My mother thought so.
It's alive!
Oh, yeah. There, Sid vacillates like a roller coaster through emotions and fears, through power and weakness. One moment he's got control issues, the next minute he's letting himself become subdued by a handful of words from one of the characters that he created. Then he goes off on a tangent. You know, it's very much like The Wizard of Oz. It's the structure of the film is like this. It's black and white, and then color comes in, and I don't want to spoil that, but it's at one point the makeup artist had me, and all I can compare it to is the Joker in Batman. And I'm talking about the Joker in the late Batman, where Heath Ledger.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and it's deep, man. It's deep.
What got you interested in acting in the first place?
In the first place, I probably don't remember it because the first time I acted, I was in the 5th grade.
Yeah.
I was into stage shows, and sometimes I would go home and lie to my mother and tell her I was in a stage show, and when she made me my costume and I wasn't able to wear it, it was a little disappointing. Only one time that happened. But I've always been an entertainer. Since I was 10, I did my first magic show at 10 years old. We did carnivals to raise money for the muscular dystrophy in our neighborhood. And then I was a musician in the circuit for many, many years. But as an entertainer, I would take acting classes every year. I would take 1 or 2 weeks. In 2008, I walked into core acting, and I said, I want to take some classes. He said, why? And I said, because I'm a stage performer, and I always want to polish my performance. 3 years later, still in core acting, I had many, many auditions. I've done over 50 films. I worked as an actor in residence at Maine Media Workshop. I took college courses in theater and film. And before, when I was an entertainer, it was a weekend thing. And I always loved acting, but never thought it could be a full-time thing. So now I act, and
it's full-time?
Yes, or entertain. I love it. I breathe it. Robert Redford, I think it was. I was watching an interview, and it was one of those Sunday morning interviews with Charles Osgood, and he said, I showed this film from 1970 something with, I believe it was Robert Redford, And they asked him, "What do you think about acting and making so much money?" And he said, I get paid to do what I would happily do for free." And that's it. That's it. You have to love it. I'll give, for instance, most actors that I meet are afraid of auditions. I love them. It's an opportunity to perform.
To show off what you can do.
Yeah, I love to perform, so I love auditions.
So you never get jitters ever?
Oh, are you kidding? I get jitters all the time. If anybody tells you in this business, tells you that they don't get jitters, 25 years on stage, I stand up there with my guitar, I play the first few notes. For the first 5 minutes, I've got the jitters, but you make it work for you. The jitters are good. They're your energy. People feel that. They know you're normal when you have the jitters.
You know, I've got to be honest, I get jitters sometimes too when I'm hosting the show. And I've been doing it for a while. I get through it by thinking, well, I'm just going to focus on the interview process and then I'll move on to something else at the end of a question. Like right now, for instance. So we're going to talk about I reached a pause.
Right, and in a couple of seconds, it goes away.
It's spontaneous.
Yeah, it's just, you have a good time with it and you roll with it. You have to have fun no matter what you do. You see the movie, you say, I can't believe that guy is the kind of guy that can have fun. Why? Because the character's real. I did one movie in 2010. It was a short. And when they showed it, there were about 200 people in the audience. And I was a killer. And when we stood outside to be greeted, nobody would come near me. Because I had blood all over me. I was burying people in a basement. I mean, you know, it was, it's what we do. It's what we love. And, you know, we have to go to places in our minds sometimes that make things real.
Now, I don't normally talk about stuff that we discuss pre-show. However, you'd mentioned that you play a variety of roles. And can you tell us about some of those roles?
I played a pimp. I played a mob boss. I like the mob boss thing. I played two films. I did an Irish mob boss. One was Haiti, and the other one was Run, Paulie, Run. And I played a salesman. I played a doctor. I usually get tough guy roles. I'm a martial artist, so I get some fighting roles. Mm-hmm. I've been in New York City auditioning for some of the crime shows, the series that are on TV. I won't mention them at this time, but I am there just about every week. And I just had a major audition in Boston for a major movie with. It was a 4-page read, which was pretty exciting for a movie with some very prominent actors as a supporting actor.
I hope that works out well.
So do I. But even if it doesn't, to have been called, to have been there, to have the opportunity to do this in front of, you know, big money films was exciting. I think it's really important. No matter what you play, no matter what you do, you need to find the humor in the drama. Mm-hmm. I mean, even there's even Anthony Hopkins in Silence of the Lambs, which, by the way, director Mike Messier compared my performance in the film to that, which was a very big honor to Sir Anthony Hopkins. But even when he's portraying himself in the film, there's a sense of humor about it. It may be dark humor, yeah. But sometimes it's a matter of fact. But you say it with your eyes. You know, yeah. You say, you know, you think you're a smart kid. You want to be working in the mob. It's not that easy. You think it's going to be like you were playing football in high school. Not that easy. what's down there, what's going on down there is the real thing, and you gotta be tough. You gotta be tough as nails. And that was one of my lines. And that's just how I present it, just like I'm talking with you. And I've lived that. I was a PI. You know, I did 2 tours of duty in Vietnam. I know what that side of life is. One of the things that I use, actually, that I tell anybody to use is, that's an actor. If stuff happens to you, and it's going to, stick it aside and use it. Remember that feeling. Remember that smell. Remember that sight. Remember that environment. And when you have to portray that in a character, call upon it. So when bad things happen to me, whether it be pain, whether it be happiness, whether it be love, I try to remember that. Take that moment and put it someplace inside of me so that when I have to portray that as a character, it's real.
And that's what you bring to Sid, and that's what makes him real.
I bring to Sid some very dark places that I've been in my mind.
So it's real darkness, essentially.
Sid's life is moving on. Like, as you get older, you start realizing that the things that you could do that when you were younger, you can't do anymore. Sid, a writer, a creator, he's starting to realize that his years are behind him, and his ego isn't letting that happen. That's standard. That's what happens out in public. That's what happens in our society. If you watch this movie and listen to it, because you have to listen to it, it's in the Shakespearean days, only the intellectuals could go to see Shakespeare because only the intellectuals could understand it. That's what this is. This is such a deep dialogue-driven, character-driven film that you have to hang on every word. And if you can't, then you want to be watching some film where special effects are giving you a stimulation. This is my attempt at a low-budget, character-driven psychological drama. This is my story.
You don't have a story to tell.
This is the cross I bear. These are the things I do.
Of your lies. The lies God speaks through your mouth.
Judge me not.
If I were to die, could you exist?
The Creator is more than his creations.
I am this chosen one. I do the things you do. When they laugh at you, I kill them in my heart.
I lie to tell the truth because no one hears my screams!
There was a time when I thought no one else had thoughts, ideas, dreams.
I am not myself today. Today, I feel like someone else.
You. A waste of my potential. You. A waste of my blood.
I always wanted to be a writer.
Not a writer that wrote for himself.
I wanted to be a writer that wrote for money.
Big money. Hollywood type of money.
We cross out lines in the old rule book, create our own games, and laugh and die at our own jokes. I want to be free.
His was what it was not supposed to be. What's going on down there? It's a whole different world. You can be tough as nails. What?
The case.
Wait,
What? Where is it?
you're the contact?
Yeah. You do have it, right?
I gave it to the guy.
What guy?
The guy, he winked at me. I thought he was the contact, so I gave him the case.
Newbie.
What?
Nothing.
Hey!
Oh, God, why would you do that, you idiot? Come on, Bond.
Very clever, Mr. Anderson. But no, I retested your blood samples, and it turns out that the previous results were incorrect. They actually showed an excessive amount of white blood cells.
Okay, talk over my head and down to me a little more.
Well, to put it quite simply, Mr. Anderson, you're not dying.